Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. I'm holding my Zebec until $1. Now in this video, I'm going to break down my strategy step by step and exactly how I'm going to be doing this. Now before I get started, I want to make it clear I am not a financial advisor. Nothing that you see in this video is financial advice. So please always make sure to do your own independent research. Now with that being said even, let's get straight into the video. Now one thing we have to be clear about is how long I'm planning to hold Zebec for. Now I've always said since I've started posting Zebec videos, my time frame is at least 2 to 4 years. That's how long I plan on holding my Zebec for. So this I could be holding until 2030, maybe even longer depending on the traction of the project, right? So 2 to 4 year period. Now, in order for Zebec to hit a $1 price target, we would need Zebec to hit a $90 billion market cap, right? $90 billion market cap. Now, right now, we are only at 383 million. Now we have a very long way to go until we hit this target. In fact, the current price of Zebec is at 0.004213, right? So let's just be clear. We have an extremely long way to go. Now, let's put it this way. I will not be holding all of my Zebec until that $1 target. Just to be clear, that's not a part of the strategy. And I want you all to write that down because this is how a lot of people in the community will essentially lose, right? It's by, let's just say you own $1,000 worth of Zebec, which buys you around, I don't know, 230,000, around that realm, 240,000 tokens. Now, what some people do is they now have 240,000 tokens, and in their mind, their strategy, I hold until $1, I make $240,000, and now I can celebrate. Congratulations. However, we all know it typically doesn't work that easily. And even if it is going to work, you have to remember it could happen in 4 years' time. It could happen in 5 years' time. So you also have to understand that this is going to be a long process. It's very unlikely to happen overnight. Although in this video, I will give you some peak bull cycle price prediction. So make sure you stick around until the end of the video because I am going to give you some prices where I think we could see Zebec peak. And well done to those of you that have been subscribed to this channel because you made sure to catch my free buy calls at the lows. If you missed these, it means you're not subscribed to the channel. Make sure you subscribe right now so you do not miss another Zebec update. Subscribe. Perfect. Let's continue with the video. So 240,000 tokens. Their strategy, hold to 240. However, that doesn't work because we will see Zebec hit key areas first. So for example, we could see once price hits, let's just say 10,000. And again, what we're going to do actually, I'm going to give you guys 10 cents. The target is 10 cents. That's the first major target for Zebec. Now, this is what I think is the sweet spot for Zebec. For those of you that want to hold this project long term, you want to be able to hold until $1. My personal sweet spot is about 1 million tokens, right? 1 million tokens for me is the sweet spot. And I think right about now, it would cost about $4,000 or so to acquire 1 million Zebec tokens, right? But 1 million tokens for me is the sweet spot because by the time price hits 10 cents, well, you're up $100,000, right? $100,000. Now, remember, this is not a small number, just to be clear, right? So $100,000. Now, at this area, I would say personally, even if you take out 30% or so, I think you're good to go. But if price does capture that momentum, right? So if price does hit 10 cents, the reality is, I think we could see price top out around 30 cents, right? And I'm going to explain why that happens in another video, right? And I'm going to show you what happened with other coins in the last bull cycle, right? For example, whenever a project hits, $10 billion market cap, in fact, we can just go back to Polygon, right? When Polygon went up, 400x, what happened? Right? More people started to buy, price went up by 100, 200%. and then it eventually crashed. But why does this happen? Because a lot of people that buy once, these projects are already at a 5, 10, $20 billion market cap, they're then buying now with the same mentality that people are buying now. They're anticipating a 10x, a 100x. But they have to remember, what are the chances of, Zebec hitting a $20 billion market cap and then hitting a $200 billion market cap in the same year? Very, very unlikely, but we'll talk about that in a separate video. So what I'm going to give as the first major target for Zebec is about 30 cents. Now, once price hits 30 cents, you are up $300,000. Now, what my strategy would be at this point is to sell half of my tokens at least, or up until this 30-cent target, I would have sold off close to 50% of my overall holdings, right? Now, there's a strategic way to do this. I'll show you all how to do this in a separate video, so make sure you subscribe. Make sure you're part of my free Telegram group, link in my description for further in-depth updates, right? But let's just keep it simple for now. Let's just say 30 cents, $300,000, 50% sold, you've already taken home $150,000, which is absolutely incredible when you think of your starting point, right? Which is where we're currently at now. So with all that being said, why do we do that? We do this because what typically will happen is price will peak, it will find a peak, right? And I'm going to give you guys an insight into what I believe is that bull cycle peak or rough bull cycle peak, because then price will sell off again aggressively, right? We've seen this cycle after cycle. Projects sell off by 50%, some sell off by 90%. As after 2021, the majority of altcoins sold off by 90 to 80%. Even products like Solana sold off that much, right? So the same thing is highly likely to happen to Zebec as well, although past performance is no indicator of future success. Now, with all that being said, we've now banked $150,000, which is absolutely incredible. We have two things now. Number one, we're watching half of our position go down in value, right? But we're not that concerned. Why? Because we've already made $150,000. So everything is basically a profit now. Now we have two scenarios. We can either wait for price to sell off by the 80, 90% or even 60%, redeploying at the lows, or we can just leave the position to run and basically just sit on it and say, oh, you know what? We're just going to hold it now till it eventually hits $1 and that's it. Very simple, very straightforward. And this is all stress-free. Why? Because we've already started to take out profit over time, right? So we're less stressed, we're less anxious, and ultimately we actually have the capacity to hold until $1. Right? Which is the most important thing, right? If you're over leveraged, if you're not in the right headspace because you're over leveraged, the market's not right and you're frustrated with the timings of the market, what's going to happen? You're probably going to pull out early. You're more likely to make mistakes. Now, going back to the 240,000 scenario, the reason why people typically just hold until $1 when they have a smaller amount of capital in the market is because ultimately they don't see a profit that is significant enough for them to pull out. So for example, if you only have $1,000 worth of Zebec and price hits 10 cents, well, how much are you up by? You're only up by 20. I say only like it's a small amount. It's not a small amount, but you're only up by about $24,000. So in that person's mind, although they started off with a small amount, it's just enough. It's not enough for them to take profit because they're worried about disrupting their gains over time. But you cannot, in my opinion, have this mentality because it sets you up for failure overall. What will happen is, and we see this every single cycle, price will end up going up to maybe 20 cents, 30 cents. Now you're up significantly, but guess what? That's the peak of the cycle, and then you see price sell off aggressively, and now you've lost all of your profit. You get sick and tired, and then you just pull out at maybe a smaller profit or even at a loss. It just depends ultimately where you entered. So this is why I say 1 million tokens is a sweet spot. It allows you to be more flexible. But even if you are only starting with $1,000 worth of Zebec, or it's still fine. As long as you know how to structure it out properly, you can still win long term. Now, if you want to find out how you can do this step by step, you can all join my free Telegram group, link in my description. Again, The Telegram is completely free. Just make sure you have the Telegram app downloaded. Otherwise, the link will not work. And of course, make sure you're all subscribed to capture more Zebec updates. So I'll see you all in the next video. And of course, before I wrapped up, you've made it this far. So let me reveal to you where I believe we could see Zebec peak, by the end of this cycle. The number I'm going to give you is a market cap area, right? So the market cap that I think we could see Zebec peak at is going to be, wait for it, not $3 billion, about a $20 billion market cap. That's where I think we could potentially see Zebec peak by the end of the cycle, which is still a fantastic gain short term. And we'll talk about that in a separate video. Make sure you're subscribed. Until next video, guys, seize the day.